Hello, we're going to have a boxing predictions video. This is Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker. So last weekend, Anthony Joshua faced off against Joseph Parker in a heavyweight world title unification fight. This is for the IBF, the WBA, IBO and WBO heavyweight titles. So going to the fight, obviously Joshua was the favourite, which is understandable because, well, from what I can gather, was more popular, fought better people, and just a better boxer in terms of popularity, and I said as a fighter. It was sort of divided, what I read online and from other people who I spoke to about the fight going into it. They did say that Joseph Parker did have a chance because he is a skilled boxer. He's not just there just to make up the numbers or to get a payday or to give up his world title easily. He had a few defences, and prior to winning the world title, he was knocking people out, whereas before that he didn't knock. After that, become champion, he didn't make any knockouts. So people thought maybe like as a world champion he's sort of gone off the ball a bit. Maybe he doesn't have the killer instinct now as a world champion. That's just a few things that people were saying for the build up to the fight. The press conferences, I missed a few and I only saw snippets of the final one. And there was a lot of like tension. It was about like Anthony Joshua getting knocked out by David Price or knocked down in sparring years back, and there's a lot of like sort of bickering back and forth between camps. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter as well, he was saying a lot of stuff as well, just to build up the fight as you would imagine. The fight was going to be held at the Principality Stadium, which is in Cardiff, a record attendance of 80,000 fans or around that figure. And for the third fight in a row, just apart, Anthony Joshua will be fighting in a massive stadium, which prior to that I don't think many fighters can really say they've held that type of achievement. My prediction for the fight before and now, I thought that Anthony Joshua was going to win by knockout, only because he was 20-0 with 20 knockouts, and I thought that while this fight wasn't going to be a quick easy job, I did think that he would eventually wear Parker down in later rounds, simply the fact that because of his size was a big factor. Like when you watched the weigh-in, there was a big difference in weight and height. Not a massive difference in weight, but there was enough that which I could see visually, which I thought was going to be the deciding factor in the fight. When the fight actually came about, the fight itself was a bit of a letdown. There wasn't a lot of like groundbreaking moments. The ref was quite bad. A lot of people were going to blame the ref as well. Of course, you've got one side of it where he just shouldn't be doing his job. He made the decision, so he thought it was best that it was his decisions to move in and separate the fighters when he thought it was necessary. Some of the times that they were right, other times they were wrong, and I think that he was a very inexperienced ref, and it showed towards the end of the fight. I think after it, I did read somewhere or on a podcast, I heard that he had less than 10 world title matches under his belt, which is quite weak because there's other referees out there who have got a lot more experience. But Joseph Parker did okay. You can't really give him many of the rounds because Joshua was just a more active fighter, and I've only seen the fight once live, and from what I can remember from it, there was a lot more that I can remember from Anthony Joshua's side of the fight. In terms of punches rather than Joseph Parker's side of it. Not to say Joseph Parker did terribly or outclassed, because it was a close fight, it just wasn't a very entertaining fight. And you have to really watch it carefully to see who's in the fight, and I thought Joshua won the fight. So with the win, Anthony Joshua retained the IBF, IBO and WBA belts, and have now captured the WBO belt from Joseph Parker. He's now got 4 world titles. Of course everyone's calling him to fight Deontay Wilder, which is the obvious choice. But as many people do know by now, there's a lot of things need to be done before, and you've got the WBA section which is on the undercard of this fight. Alexander Povetkin knocked out David Price. He's now the number 1 ranked WBA heavyweight contender. You've got the IBF. Everyone knows about the IBF. Got the strict rules for their mandatory defences. You've got the IBO, which is a minor world title. I'm not sure that really has got a significant role in these sort of negotiations. And of course you've got the WBO belt as well, which Joshua just picked up, like I said. But now I've heard that obviously that they're in talks with Deontay Wilder's camp about having a unification fight. But also heard that the WBA, I'm not sure if this is correct, but because Povetkin's now ranked #1, eventually that's going to happen. But in my mind, I think it's going to be Povetkin, then Deontay Wilder in early 2019, if that's how it is going to be played out. Of course, everyone wants to see Deontay Wilder fight. If I had my decision, of course, I would pick Deontay Wilder and Joshua fight for heavyweight undisputed title, because that would be, well, that's what everyone wants to see. It's a heavyweight title match as well, so it's got the added wow factor on it. Who would win that fight? That would be a different video. But in terms of the back of this performance, I'm not sure who said it, but someone said, and Joshua's not going to set the world alight, or Deontay Wilder's like, he's not going to catch his attention from this performance. Well, I do believe that. Sometimes you do come across the odd opponent who's tricky, and you can't land the damaging punches to get the guy out of there, which was the factor. Yeah, the referee was poor, like I said. Anthony Joshua was going to get up against a tricky top heavyweight in Joseph Parker. So that's why I think it was a lot harder, because if he was going against someone who's just like a random pick, then it would be a lot more easier, as anyone would think. Joseph Parker can become world champion again. The division hasn't got like many world opposition. So you got like Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury if he does come back at some point, Povetkin, Luis Ortiz, but he just got knocked out by Deontay Wilder. So I'm not really sure who else you can really out there. I mean, you got Jerome Miller, up and coming American heavyweight. He's got a high ranking in one of the organisations, but apart from that, there's not a lot of high quality opposition out there, which is a shame, because yeah, you've got on the English side, they've got Anthony Joshua, which is great for us. American, you've got Deontay Wilder, 40 wins, 39 knockouts, record speaks for itself. Then you've got other people, like I said, Povetkin, Fury, even Dillian Whyte. Like you've got Dillian Whyte, another English heavyweight or British heavyweight. And so you've got Povetkin as well, Jerome Miller from America. So you've got good people, but they're not. It's not like years ago where you had like Tyson, Holyfield, Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, like Michael Moore. He had some top quality heavyweights all finding each other, all out having big world title fights or just heavyweight fights. And I think since the Klitschko's come along, yeah, they dominate the division and just wipes it out. And I just think it goes to show how weak nowadays the heavyweight division is. Not to say it's not going to be interesting to see what happens, because it's going to be great. Deontay Wilder could fight Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte could fight Anthony Joshua, undisputed world title fight between Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Jerome Miller could make a statement. Tyson Fury could come back, so it is exciting. It's just not as it doesn't have the depth as it did have, say, in the previous eras like the 90s and 80s and so forth. So let me know what in the comments down below what you thought about the fight. Like I said, it wasn't the world title fight everyone was expecting. It wasn't the most explosive, but it was a good technical performance from Anthony Joshua. Not his cleanness. Referee was poor. I don't think you'll see that ref in a world title fight for a long while. Not unless they need someone on quick notice. Joseph Parker didn't do what he set out to do, of course, but I don't think it's the worst performance in the world from a world title challenger or into a big fight. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the fight, and I'll see you in the next video.